Hey guys, today we're going to take a look at my 1998 Honda Accord EXV6. I bought this as my first car in October of 2018 with 169,000 miles on it, and it currently has 184,500. Beginning with the exterior styling, this one is featured in dark emerald pearl. It's a darker shade of green, but it often gets mistaken for black and sometimes blue. You can see that I replaced the original Honda badge with one from an EK9 Civic, I believe. It's not a perfect match. I did have to do some trimming just to get it to fit, but it does look good nonetheless, in my opinion at least. As far as this license plate, 98 is obviously the year of the car. CG1 is a part of the VIN code, and then Whitney comes from the name of my favorite artist, Whitney Houston, and that's also the name of my car. It also has these dealer-installed OEM fog lights. They were installed when the car was brand new. As far as headlights go, these ones are aftermarket. They're still fully incandescent. The only difference is they're a dark housing design. I bought them about 6 months after I purchased the car, but they're starting to suffer from some condensation, so I might be upgrading those again pretty soon. As far as wheels go, it's still in the stock wheels. These are 15-inch alloys on 205/65 R15s, standard with front and rear disc brakes. Moving on to the side profile, it's 22 years old at this point, so the design isn't necessarily modern, but I think the best way I would describe it would be timeless simplicity. This was the time before cars were ridiculously overstyled, and honestly, I appreciate the simplicity of it. That's one of my favorite aspects about the design. You can see that it has this gold pinstripe that runs from the headlight all the way back to the tail light. It has color matched body side moldings, and also added this single overhead cam VTEC sticker, obviously because the powertrain of the car is a single overhead cam V6 with VTEC. Again, I like simplicity. I'm not looking for any extreme aesthetic modification, so I just felt like that was a nice touch. To each his own, obviously. Moving to the rear of the car, you can see that that simple yet elegant design language really continued on. Normally all of this will be incandescent, however I recently upgraded it, so we have LED tail lights and LED brake lights. The reverse light and turn signal do remain incandescent. I also added the red Honda badge to the rear as well. When I first bought the car, the spoiler was not on there, but I was able to find one on eBay that was color matched and everything, so I bought it and installed it about 4 or 5 months after I bought the car. It also has an LED third brake light built into that, and there's also the third brake light that's in the window as well. Has the Accord badge right here, and then a black and chrome V6 badge. Powering this Accord is Honda's single overhead cam 3-liter V6 with VTEC, otherwise known as the J30A1. It makes 200 horsepower at 5,500 RPM and 195 foot-pounds of torque at 4,700 RPM. Power is sent to the front wheels through a 4-speed automatic only. Unfortunately, no manual transmission was available for the V6 models. If you opted for a 4-cylinder, you could get a 5-speed manual with an EX with leather as well. Moving to interior features, we have power mirrors, power windows, power locks as well. There's also this wood grain trimming that's on all 4 door panels as well as in the center console. Every EXV6 came appointed with leather seats that are also 8-way power adjustable. Right here you have your fuel cap release as well as your trunk release. Pull up for the trunk and push down for fuel, and your hood release is back up in here. In the driver's area, there's a little corn storage right there. Fog light switch because mine has that option. Cruise control on and off. Sunroof open, close, and tilt. Here's the headlight and turn signal controls. On the steering wheel, there are steering wheel audio controls, but they don't work with the aftermarket stereo that I have. On the right side, there's cruise control. This is the stock for the speed sensing intermittent wipers. In terms of the gauge cluster, everything is analog as expected for 1998. The only digital portion is that little part in the center, and that just displays your mileage and trip computer. In the center stack, there's the hazard light switch, AC vents, the clock, which doesn't work in mine, automatic climate control, and there's the aftermarket stereo with a little bit of storage underneath. Leather wrap shift knob that controls the 4-speed automatic. I did add the bezel from the 01 to 02 Accord right there because I preferred that over the black one that came with the car. Leather wrap handbrake as well. Wood trimming in the center and cup holders right there. In terms of materials, you can see that there's this little two-tone combination going on. Everything up here is hard touch plastic, which is to be expected, but from then on down, it's a soft touch material. The seats provide an adequate amount of bolstering for a family sedan. It's not a sports car by any means necessary, and it doesn't trick you into thinking that it is. In terms of rear seat space, I think the Honda Accord was class leading at the time. This is where I keep the seat at the drive, and I still have about, I would say, 6 to 7 inches in front of me still. You can see that the material is pretty much carried through from the front seat to the back. All of this up here is soft touch. You have a leather insert right there, chrome door handles, more of that wood trimming, and then the control for your power window. 2 cup holders right here when you fold this down, as well as a pass-through to the trunk. In terms of the driving experience, it's not the most exhilarating thing ever, especially when you compare it to something like a 10th generation Accord, but it's a mid-sized family sedan from 1998, so its 2 main goals were fuel economy and comfort, and it accomplishes those goals fairly well. Interior comfort is pretty good. My one complaint would be there's a fair amount of wind noise and road noise, but I think that's pretty commonplace for even newer Honda Accords. In terms of fuel economy, it's honestly not all you would expect it to be. Older Hondas tend to have a reputation for having, fuel economy in the 30s, but that's definitely not the case for this one. I'm not sure if it's because of the transmission and all that stuff, but I think it's rated at 24 in the city, 24 in the highway, and 18 in the city. So it's not the best, but I would say I fill my car up maybe once a week. I travel 26 miles to and from work every day, and I fill up once a week. So it's not the best, but it's certainly not the worst. In terms of power, like I mentioned earlier, it's only 200 horsepower out of a 3-liter V6. So once again, even when you compare it to something like a newer Accord, it's obviously going to be much slower. This is not a sports car by any means necessary, but for what it is, it's a respectable amount of power. Not sure if you're able to hear, but VTEC engages at around 3,500 RPM. And the crossover is pretty noticeable, and it sounds pretty good in my opinion. You can probably hear in the background the amount of wind noise that I'm talking about. All of the doors, windows, sunroof, and everything, they're closed right now. You can still hear a good amount of wind noise. But again, that's not only exclusive to this generation Accord, it's commonplace in even newer generations. If I had to choose one thing that I disliked about the driving experience, it would definitely be the fact that the car only came with an automatic transmission, especially with it only having 4 gears. I feel like you would be able to get a lot more out of the engine's power band if you had a 6-speed manual, or honestly even a 5-speed manual. appreciate you all for watching. I do look forward to making more content on this car. It's honestly my pride and joy. I bought this as my first car about 2 years ago now, and it's nothing special. It's a 22-year-old Honda Accord with over 180,000 miles on it. So it's not a sports car, it's not a luxury car, but I appreciate it no less than I would appreciate either one of those things. It's a wonderful feeling to be able to say that you own something, especially something that you've worked so hard for. I saved up for this car for around 2 years, and honestly, I've loved Hondas in general since I was a child. So I knew that I wanted my first car to be a Honda. Prior to buying this car, I test drove a 2002 Acura TL Type S, and I fell in love with it. But unfortunately, the owner decided that he didn't want to sell it again. So I test drove another 6th generation Accord that was about 2 years newer than this one. That overheated on the test drive, so that didn't work out. And then finally I came across this one. It wasn't perfect by any means necessary, but I've invested a lot of money into maintenance and getting it to where it needs to be, and it's a reliable daily driver, and I couldn't appreciate it anymore. Within the next year or so I graduate college, and I do plan on getting myself a 10th generation Honda Accord 2.0T with the 6-speed manual as a little graduation gift to myself. But even once I get that, this car is going absolutely nowhere. I'll drive it until I literally no longer can, because it's my first car. I put a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of effort into it, and I'll always value it. So again, I look forward to making some more content. I appreciate you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe for more content. Thank you.